There's a really, really interesting thing happening to all those poor, tortured souls on the left. And if you know any leftists or progressives or any other intellectually compromised people that really do make up the modern day Democrat base, there's a little test that you can run right now. If you want to find out if these people have any clue left at all, just ask them about Hope Hicks' testimony in the Stormy Daniels hush money misdemeanor case. If they've actually been reading the testimony, if they care enough to read it, they probably won't say much. But if they've been feeding at the trough of Rachel Maddow and other completely insane propagandists, they'll tell you that it's over for Trump. Hope Hicks, they hit him with a dagger. And they believe it. These people believe it in their bones. But if you just ask them why, just say, wow, what did she say? You're not going to get much.
Sort of effort to tie Hope Hicks crying to some specific motive, some specific thing that she testified about. I don't buy that. I've seen plenty of people take the stand in a courtroom. Testifying is scary. It's emotional. She's sitting there in front of a person who she respected and admired, who she sort of grew up under, became a professional under. It's a dramatic moment. And if you look at the actual moment in the transcript where it says she starts crying, there's nothing much going on. She's not being berated by either side.
I'm going to do it right now.
Yes, please.
Let me go to the transcript. So first, the very end of her direct examination, put it up on the screen, quote, and I think Mr. Trump's opinion was it was better to be dealing with it now and that it would have been bad to have that story come out before the election. Thank you. No further questions. Prosecution feels good, right, Ellie? On that point, they thought they have Hope Hicks connecting the payment in the mind of Donald Trump, maybe, to the election. Quick reaction on that.
Sure, it's a strong piece of evidence for the prosecution. I do respectfully dissent from the this is it, nail in the coffin, devastating game over moment. It helps them on a piece of the case, but there's much more to her testimony and much more to this case than that.
Okay, why did she cry? Put it up on the screen. And I think you said this morning, this is on cross-examination. I think you said this morning that you focused on real estate, hospitality, the entertainment. That was your portfolio. Yes, she begins to weep. It was nostalgia. At this moment, she's not crying because she's sinking Donald Trump. She's presumably crying because she's remembering the good old days before everything hit the fan.
That's exactly how I see it, Michael. And it's also, she's not crying on the other side because Donald Trump's lawyers have extracted some concession from her, browbeaten her like you would see in the movies, and the witness just breaks down. She's going back to a time in her life almost 10 years ago now when she was 20-something and Donald Trump started employing her and she sort of came up through the ranks. I mean, you can understand how it's emotional. And I just want to stress again, I'm going to use our friend and colleague Anderson Cooper here as an example. Now, Anderson has interviewed presidents, kings. He's been in war zones. He had to testify in a fairly low-level trial last year or so. And he said publicly, he said privately, he was terrified. It was emotional. It was scary. It was a routine court case. But getting up on that stand can really evoke emotions. And I just think it's a mistake to say Hope Hicks cried because she knew she just ended Donald Trump's career, because she knew she just sank him, or she cried because she had just collapsed on cross-exam. It was neither of those things, in my view.
So this is where we're at for these people, right? Hope Hicks did not want to be there. Nobody wants to be there. I think maybe somebody. I think the only person who really wants to be there is going to be Michael Cohen, which I think really does lend a lot of credence to the belief that he's just a bitter old scam artist who really does have an axe to grind against Donald Trump. But how about this Ellie Honig man from CNN? I don't know what this guy is doing on CNN. I cannot imagine. Can you imagine going to work in a place like that and you're literally the only reasonable, objective, critically thinking person in the entire building? Probably him and the camera crew, I would think. That is it. But he says this is not the nail. And I read it all. I read it as it was happening. And if you guys want to read the testimony as it happens, there's a guy, Inner City Press, is live tweeting it on X as it happens. But when I was reading it, if I were on the jury, I would have heard her when she said, no, Michael Cohen has paying his own money just doesn't sound right because he's not charitable. I would hear that, but I would think it's pretty easy to think, this dude that we've heard everyone else say is a lying scumbag must have been up to something. He must have had an angle. That's at least a reasonable thought. And when she said that Trump seemed most worried about how these stories would affect his family, to me, that completely destroys the state's allegation that the election was his only motivation for covering it up or whatever it is they all did. But anyway, these are just, there's two sides to everything we're hearing here, but there is only one truth. And that's all I got to say about that. But that's just my take, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you haven't already, be a part of our growth. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share the channel. I'll see you in the next